Good day to you. It's important for us to delve into a topic that touches many households and lunchboxes around the world: canned tuna. Now, while it's often seen as a convenient and even healthy option, there's a crucial aspect we need to understand regarding its consumption and potential impact on our well-being, specifically concerning our precious brain health. Have you ever paused to consider the subtle yet significant differences between the various cans of tuna lining the supermarket shelves? Perhaps you've noticed discrepancies in price or the sheer variety of types available, but the most pertinent question, the one that truly warrants our attention, is whether you are aware of which of these seemingly identical cans might be silently introducing a neurotoxin, mercury, into your body without your conscious knowledge. That beloved tuna sandwich, a quick and easy meal for so many, could, in certain circumstances, be insidiously undermining your health. Today, I want to shed light on a reality that the industrial food complex may not be eager for you to grasp. The simple truth is that not all tuna is created equal, and these inherent differences can have a tangible effect on your cognitive function and overall health. Beyond this fundamental distinction in tuna types, there are also common pitfalls, 4 significant mistakes that individuals often make when consuming tuna, particularly the canned variety, frequently without any awareness of the potential risks involved. And of course, my aim is not just to highlight these concerns, but to empower you with practical, essential guidance on how to enjoy this food source responsibly, ensuring you reap its nutritional benefits while minimizing any potential health implications. So, are you intrigued to uncover these crucial insights? I encourage you to stay with me until the end as we navigate this important topic together, ensuring you can make informed choices to nourish your body effectively and safely. I have a strong feeling that after these revelations, your perception of that unassuming can of tuna might just be forever altered. Now, before we delve deeper, if you find this information valuable, please do give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new here and seeking more insights into holistic health and well-being, consider subscribing to our channel. Let's begin by addressing a fundamental question: what exactly is mercury, and where does it originate? Many of us have been consuming tuna for years, perhaps even decades, but we might not fully appreciate the presence and implications of mercury within this food. Mercury is a naturally occurring heavy metal found in the Earth's crust. However, with the advent of industrial development, colossal quantities of this element have been discharged into our atmosphere over time, on a truly industrial scale, largely as a byproduct of coal combustion and various mining operations. There are 2 primary forms of mercury that concern us in this context: inorganic mercury and methylmercury. When industries burn coal, inorganic mercury is released into the environment. This element then gradually settles, often near the bottom of rivers, lakes, and oceans. In these low-oxygen environments, specific types of bacteria thrive on the sediment containing inorganic mercury, and through their metabolic processes, they transform it into methylmercury. This form is significantly more toxic, dangerous, and potent than its inorganic precursor. Methylmercury then embarks on a journey through the aquatic food chain. It is initially absorbed by minute organisms, such as plankton and small crustaceans. These tiny creatures are then consumed by smaller fish, which in turn become prey for larger fish, such as tuna. This biological process is the primary reason why large, predatory fish like tuna tend to accumulate higher levels of mercury over their relatively long lifespans. This is precisely why we must exercise mindfulness regarding the excessive consumption of certain types of tuna, particularly if we have pre-existing health concerns related to our nervous or cardiovascular systems. This naturally leads us to the question: why does tuna in particular contain such notable levels of mercury? Tuna is a remarkable migratory fish, capable of traversing thousands of miles across vast ocean expanses. Its dietary habits vary depending on the specific species and the regions it inhabits, but generally consist of crustaceans and smaller fish, and it is within this dietary chain that the issue arises. If a tuna swims through an area where these smaller organisms have been contaminated with methylmercury, then the tuna itself becomes contaminated. Methylmercury is not easily expelled from the body of the fish. Instead, it tends to accumulate, much like a container where items are continually added but rarely removed. The more contaminated prey a tuna consumes throughout its life, the greater the buildup of this toxic metal within its tissues. While tuna does possess some capacity to eliminate a small portion of the mercury it absorbs, it never fully rids itself of the contaminant. Consequently, certain parts of its body end up storing significant amounts of this metal. When we, as beings at the apex of the food chain, consume tuna that has accumulated methylmercury, we too ingest this toxic substance. Over time, this can lead to serious and far-reaching health consequences. This is why healthcare professionals and nutritionists consistently recommend consuming tuna in moderation, with particular caution advised for young children and pregnant women who are often more vulnerable to the toxic effects of this heavy metal. Now, before you reach for your next can of tuna, let's discuss the most common mistakes people unknowingly make when consuming this popular food. The first significant oversight is a lack of awareness regarding the different species of tuna that end up in our canned products. There are 3 primary types of tuna you'll typically find on supermarket shelves, and the distinction between them, particularly when it comes to mercury levels, is substantial. Firstly, there's skipjack tuna, Katsuonus pelamis. This is often the variety simply labeled as tuna on the can. It's generally considered the safest option for regular consumption because it's a smaller fish with a shorter lifespan, meaning it accumulates significantly less mercury, typically around 0.12 parts per million. Secondly, we have yellowfin tuna, Thunus albicares. This is a different species altogether, living between 7 and 10 years and growing considerably larger than skipjack. Consequently, it contains almost 3 times the amount of mercury, averaging about 0.35 parts per million. While still generally safe to eat, it should certainly be consumed in moderation. Thirdly, there's albacore tuna, Thunus alalunga. This species tends to have the highest mercury levels, often containing up to 0.50 parts per million. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, actually recommend significantly limiting its consumption due to these higher concentrations. Therefore, understanding which specific type of tuna you are eating makes a world of difference in controlling your overall mercury exposure. This leads us directly to the second common mistake, not diligently reading the labels before purchasing canned tuna. If you wish to continue enjoying tuna without excessive worry about mercury, paying close attention to the product label is paramount. This seemingly small detail can have a profound impact on your health. When the packaging simply states tuna, it almost always refers to skipjack, the variety with the lowest mercury content. However, if the label specifies light tuna or yellowfin, be aware that these generally contain higher concentrations of this heavy metal. Some brands exhibit greater transparency and clearly indicate the exact tuna species within the ingredient list. Taking a few extra seconds to check this information is a worthwhile investment in your well-being. If the packaging lacks clarity, a quick search on the manufacturer's website can often provide the answer, as most major brands readily share this information online. It's also wise to avoid relying solely on tuna as your fish intake. Incorporating other low-mercury fish into your diet, such as salmon, packed with beneficial omega-3 fatty acids, sardines, remarkably nutritious and affordable, mackerel, rich in flavor and essential nutrients, and trout, with a delicate taste and very low in mercury, can provide a more balanced and safer approach to seafood consumption. The third significant mistake individuals often make is not managing their weekly tuna consumption. Despite its convenience and nutritional benefits, consuming excessive amounts of tuna can be detrimental to health, primarily due to the cumulative effect of mercury in the body over time. Consequently, the United States Dietary Guidelines recommend a weekly intake of approximately 227 grams or 8 ounces of seafood. Reputable nutritional authorities emphasize that including tuna in your diet can be a simple way to boost your daily intake of omega-3 fatty acids, which are critical for both brain and cardiovascular health. However, it's crucial to remember that the type and amount of fat will vary significantly depending on the specific canned tuna product you select. This underscores the importance of always scrutinizing the labels and comparing different brands before making a purchase. And finally, the fourth common error, often surprisingly overlooked, is not properly draining canned tuna. When you open a can, the liquid inside, whether it's water or oil, should not be disregarded. Failing to drain this excess liquid thoroughly before adding the tuna to your dish can negatively impact its texture, leading to undesirable outcomes like watery mayonnaise or a soupy salad. The most effective technique involves placing the tuna in a fine mesh strainer over a bowl or directly into the sink. Then, using a fork to gently press down on the tuna helps to squeeze out every last drop of liquid. This simple step makes a significant difference in the final texture of your meal. For a quicker method, especially when dealing with tuna packed in water, you can utilize the can's lid. Partially open the can, turn it over the sink, and press the lid firmly against the tuna, applying even pressure to both sides to ensure all the liquid drains away without losing any of the fish. Now, a question that often arises is whether tuna packed in water is preferable to tuna packed in oil, or vice versa. Let's get straight to the core of this. While fresh tuna is always the optimal choice, canned tuna offers undeniable convenience for our busy lives. But when faced with these two options, what should we consider? Canned tuna, due to the canning process itself and the potential for ocean contamination, can contain trace amounts of metals, including aluminum from the can and mercury. Here's where it gets interesting. These metals are lipophilic, meaning they have an affinity for fat. In tuna packed in oil, these heavy metals tend to bind to the oil rather than the fish itself. Therefore, when you thoroughly drain the oil, you are actually discarding a portion of these unwanted contaminants along with it. Conversely, with tuna packed in water, there is no oil to attract and trap these metals. As a result, they remain within the fish itself, meaning you may end up consuming a slightly higher concentration of mercury compared to well-drained tuna in oil. Beyond the mercury consideration, tuna in oil does tend to have a higher calorie content. However, it also often contains higher amounts of beneficial omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D compared to its water-packed counterpart. So, if your primary goal is to minimize mercury exposure, tuna in oil, diligently drained, might be the more strategic choice. Interestingly, a study published in Public Health Nutrition offered further insights. Tuna packed in water can be a good option for those primarily seeking the omega-3 benefits. On the other hand, tuna in oil might be more beneficial for individuals needing a higher intake of essential fatty acids, both omega-3 and omega-6, which our bodies cannot produce on their own and must obtain from dietary sources. This can be particularly relevant for individuals with conditions like cystic fibrosis, who often require an extra boost of healthy fats in their diet. So, to enjoy tuna without undue concern about mercury, remember to pay close attention to cans labeled simply as tuna, as these are usually skipjack, which has considerably lower mercury levels. Take that extra moment to carefully read the labels, and if you have any doubts, a quick search on the brand's website can often provide clarity. The aim isn't to eliminate tuna from our diets entirely. It's an incredibly nutritious food. Rather, the goal is to make smarter, more informed choices about the type and quantity we consume. Incorporating a variety of other low-mercury fish like sardines and salmon into your diet, and keeping your weekly portions within recommended guidelines will allow you to maintain a tasty and nutritious diet without unnecessary health risks. Now that we've explored these common mistakes, they become much easier to avoid. So, the next time you reach for a can of tuna at the supermarket, keep these 4 key points in mind. Have you ever unknowingly made any of these mistakes when buying or eating tuna? Do you have a creative or particularly healthy way you enjoy preparing tuna? Please share your experiences and insights in the comments below. If you found this information helpful and empowering, please type yes in the comments section. Thank you for your attention and for joining me today. Until our next encounter, take good care and be well.